The Truth Girls.
Hi everyone. I've got something I want to tell you about and I'm really excited about it. I have discovered a kind of sensory therapy that's been just radical for me. If you've been following my adrenal fatigue videos or my ASD and sensory videos, you'll probably find this really interesting. Okay, I have a really bad sensory processing disorder. I was diagnosed with the ASD, but as far as I'm concerned, the part that really matters to me and the part that I really have to manage is sensory processing. How does this affect me? Well, it's like I have a low threshold for input, for sensory input, especially touch and sound. It can even trigger a fight or flight sort of reaction in me. It can be very stressful. And also for input socially, like if I have to spend too much time talking to other people or interacting with them, for some reason it really burns me out. So what happens after that? Well, the grid goes down, as I say. I don't want to get like too much into explaining it, because I think if you have this kind of problem, you already know what it is. And if you don't have it, you probably don't really need to hear all about it, unless maybe you have a kid with it. In that case, watch some of my other videos about ASD and sensory processing. So, you know, I don't look like a person with a disability. I guess I'm not like disabled, but I do have like a hidden handicap or disability as far as this goes. And I have to sort of work around it all the time. I have to say, you know, I've been trying to hide this problem my whole life. So there's part of me that's like, not ashamed, but it's like I've been trained to hide it and not show it. And I'm kind of really tired of that. Not because, oh, I feel like I need people to understand me, but because I really want to talk about solutions to this problem. There's no way I can do that without admitting that I have it. So I'm tired of like the stigma about disabilities, hidden disabilities and hidden handicaps, and it's like, don't let anyone know there's anything wrong with you. Well, you know, how are we going to find solutions if nobody even wants to admit that they have a problem? And nobody wants to share what's working for them because we're all too embarrassed of what everyone else will think. I'm kind of really tired of that, and I think we need to get beyond that. I've had this my whole life, and I guess I've spent my whole life trying to hide it and trying to compensate for it. So it's actually hard for me to talk about it. But I'm talking about it because I really want to share with you what I've found, because it's been so amazing for me, and you need to know. I'm hoping that if you get the chance that you can try the same and that it'll be amazing for you too. On the adrenal fatigue end, adrenal fatigue, it's basically, you know, your adrenal hormones getting imbalanced. It's basically like a burnout, a depression, but I'm talking about like the physical sort of medical end of it, the end that you can approach to recovering yourself. And I've done a bunch of videos about this, so you can check out that playlist that I have. I think people who have sensory processing difficulties or ASDs are probably more likely to burn out, because on top of all the stuff that we're dealing with, that everyone deals with, we're also dealing with this, you know, challenge that we have with processing. So what I found, which I'm so excited about and want to share with you, is a kind of therapy that is good for addressing both adrenal fatigue, depression, also things like sleep problems and that, hormonal imbalances, and also sensory processing difficulties. And if you address the sensory, I think you'll have more stamina, you'll recover from your depression more easily. So especially if you have that kind of problem, this could be really helpful to you. It's also really helpful in terms of behavior, as in managing your own behavior, because if you have a sensory processing problem, as you know, when you get to overload or you get to burnout, it's very difficult to behave appropriately, it's difficult to interact, it's difficult to function. So this, for me, has given me a lot more stamina. Not only that, but I just feel good, better in general, and I actually feel sort of more social even. Okay, so what is the thing I've discovered? Well, basically it's massage, but there are two kinds. Number one, I have been going to the gym, and I'm going to do a video about that at some point, and they have at the gym a massage bed, which is Hydro Massage. You don't get wet, you lie on this bed, it has like a vinyl cover, and it has these water jets running underneath the cover that go up and down on your back, like from your neck all the way down to your feet. And you can adjust the pressure. And I like to put it really, really high. And there's something about this which just gives enormous amount of relief if you're someone who is averse to light touch, but really pressure seeker, somebody who likes a really hard touch, hard massage. it's just incredible what this does for me. I mean, when I first realized that it was doing something, I was having lunch with my friend in the mall, and after 20 minutes, which is where I usually start to feel the overload, and I start to feel like my grid's going down, and I you know, a whole bunch of stuff, which those of you who have this problem know what I'm talking about, and the anxiety that comes with it, knowing that you're losing your grid. I'd been there 20 minutes, and that time where that usually happens, you know, came around, and I realized that it wasn't happening. My grid wasn't going down. I wasn't like compulsively like doing things and like sort of tics like that I have. I was able to keep going in the conversation. I wasn't super uncomfortable. I didn't have like that drug withdrawal feeling. Those of you who get it will probably know what I mean. I was able to just sort of just be there, and I was okay. So I was like, wow, this is really radical. And I realized it had something to do with going to the gym. I mean, probably the cardio that I do on the treadmill, also the weights, which apparently is good because joint compression. And I just love the feeling of pushing the weights, but especially this really strong water massage, aqua massage. It seems to do something really good, and it'll set me straight for like about 4 or 5 hours, increase my threshold for input, and if I've been overloaded, I recover a lot faster when I use that. Okay, the second thing, this one's a little more expensive, but it's absolutely been radical for me. It's called Endermology or LPG. It's a massage using a machine. It's promoted as a sort of cellulite body contouring treatment also. I went to an aesthetic clinic, and I went there for something I got on Groupon. And she gave me a sample of this LPG treatment. And I said, well, okay, you know, it's free, 15 minutes. But what happened was it just had such an incredible effect on me. I felt so good. And what she told me was that it's approved by Health Canada. It's the only sort of aesthetic body treatment that's approved by Health Canada. It's approved for depression, sleep disturbances, hormonal imbalances, neurological complaints. I have a few of those. So, you know, it's really good on the health end, and on the beauty end, well, it seems to firm your skin, and I think it acts on the fat end, it acts sort of maybe like the way a waist trainer does. Like it'll kind of maybe reshape you, but it's temporary unless you keep doing it. But, you know, let's say if you're going to the gym, like I've been doing, trying to get in shape, and you're getting muscle and you're getting fit and you're losing weight, and you do that, well, it gives you a boost, you know, because you see results faster. But the reason I ended up pursuing it more than anything was that it's a very deep massage, gives you very good, strong, deep sensory input, and it's absolutely incredible how much this does for me. And if I could go once a week, I straightened out for the whole week. I sleep better, I have more energy, but more than that, I have more of a threshold for input, less shutdowns, less times where I need a long, solitary time to process sensory input, like a long, solitary, quiet time to sort of process and detox all the input, including social interaction input, which is kind of a problem because sometimes you just want to keep going. You don't want to have to take like 2 or 3 days to detox the fact that you went out to, you know, a gathering, a family thing, or a party, or you just went to the mall or whatever. But that's how it is to live with a sensory processing problem. You just have to keep pacing yourself and working around it. And this seems to help me detox it faster. And I feel so much better. A lot of times with problems like this, the focus is on behavior, and they kind of want to teach you to act right. Well, I've been taught to act right as much as anyone possibly could. And I do my absolute best. And being like the way I am and having this problem, I know that it's not about behavior modification. I mean, we don't do this on purpose. There's a reason. Like, I think that we don't process sensory input and social input very well. For whatever reason, it's difficult, and at a certain point it becomes overwhelming, and I think you lose your executive function. Like I'll get tics, you know, which I'm very embarrassed about. I call them tics, but maybe somebody would call it like really obvious stimming, but whatever. And I'll lose my filter, which I'm really embarrassed about. I mean, I'll be in public and I'll even know that I'm like, it's like there's a direct broadcast. Whatever goes through my head, it's just coming out. I know it. I'll even say, why can't I stop saying things out loud, you know? I mean, I don't want to act like this. I really try. And you guys know me from YouTube. Like, I'm a good person. I'm a normal person. I think my thinking is pretty normal. But the sensory processing, it's a very real, very physical problem. So if you have this, you have all my sympathy. And I wanted to let you know that there is something that can really help, which is the Hydro Massage and the LPG massage. I mean, and also I'm thinking, you know, if you're a parent and you have a teenager who has some kind of problem like this, and you're struggling with dealing with their behavior, and like, why do they keep having meltdowns? Why do they keep acting this way? Now, not everyone's the same. Maybe it's not sensory, but if it is, I think something like this might really help a lot. Not just, you know, for you and the manageability of your life as a family, but for how that person who has this problem feels about themselves. Because having this kind of problem, it can really affect your self-esteem, because people like, well, why don't you just act right, you know? And they're not doing it on purpose. Well, I don't do it on purpose. And yet, you know, it's there. So I think it's a good thing to look into. So I'm telling you about this at the risk of sounding like a crazy lady, admitting to you that I have so much trouble with processing and, you know, all this other stuff, executive function and involuntary movements. I will tell you, you know why? Because I care about you too, and I want to help you. And I found something that works for me. I'm really hoping it would help for you. And if you can't afford this kind of thing, then I would say maybe you want to look into stuff like other kinds of pressure or massage therapy, sensory input therapy, because I think it's really, really helpful, and people need to know this. So thanks for listening to me, and leave me your comments. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.
Truth occurs.